Hello, welcome. Thank you for joining me today. I'm going to do a reading into the eclipse energy. So we've been in the eclipse portal the last few days, starting around Wednesday. I'm filming this on Friday. I'm going to post it tomorrow on Saturday. So depending on when you're watching this. And so I know a lot of us have been feeling the intensity. I always pay attention to what's going on during the eclipse windows, the 5 days before and after, in my life and the lives of my children and people around me. And just noticing like, oh, that was your eclipse. Oh, that's when it landed. Oh, that's what. So mine hit today. Mine hit this morning. And of course, this eclipse is a lunar eclipse. So there's a lot about closures or endings or completions, whether it's the completion of a cycle within a larger cycle or what, but there's something very final about it, right? And so this eclipse being in Pisces, which also is about completions and coming full circle with something, Pisces being the 12th sign of the zodiac, but also a lot about illusions and deception and delusion. And so I know a lot of us are feeling stuff like that, where if we've been confused about something or a situation, or we weren't sure like what was real or what we should do or that kind of thing, it's like in this energy, in this eclipse, it's going to get clear. And that's what happened for me today. It was like the veil came off. I was like, okay, that's actually kind of what I thought, but I was hopeful, I'm always hopeful for, all of us to be up on that highest frequency. But yeah, there are deceptions and delusions, and often people don't mean to be that way. They just haven't done a lot of shadow work. And so they, it's like there are a lot of people. And so this is the other thing that I'm feeling in this energy, is sort of like this reckoning, where if you're still out there trying to get something for nothing, like you're trying to get on this higher level without doing the inner work that's required, the shadow work that's required, and maybe you're vamping off other people's energy, even if you don't mean to and you don't know it. But if you're just in some sort of denial or some sort of like false light or some kind of like deception in some way, maybe you're really good with words, or maybe you just really know how to spin it and you really know how to sell it, and yet you're not integrated. It's like there's a reckoning with that as well, where that kind of stuff isn't going to work anymore. So the sabotage energy and the sort of like trickster energy, the Luciferian energy, the false light energy that just tries to take. And so whichever side of the coin, most people that are watching this are going to be on the side of the coin where your heart's been in the right place and you've been trying to maneuver and hoping for the highest, and just kind of being like, oh gosh, veils coming off and seeing more and more of the distortion, some of it intentional and with people that are really out of alignment, but most of it, I think most of it being just people that just haven't done the shadow work and haven't done that integration, and are just playing kind of the same old game. And that's the thing. It's like that game of not coming within to your inner divinity and manifesting and sourcing from that inner alignment, the game of stealing or trying or manipulated, even in really subtle ways that we might not be aware of what we're doing. It's not going to work anymore. So if we're still in that energy, we're going to have a reckoning. We're going to have to do that shadow work, and things are going to come in our lives to make that happen, and that's true for all of us. All of us have little pockets and corners of cleanup that we need to do, and just whatever the circumstances are that are getting us to clean up. But if you have been going through the trials and having that humility and going through the process and all that, I also feel it's almost like a Six of Pentacles type of energy, where it's like you're going to be rewarded in a way. I feel like there was a test in this energy with this eclipse for a lot of us, where it's like, are you going to abandon yourself? And it's like, no, we're not. We can't. It's not possible anymore. We're not going to abandon ourselves. We're going to shut off that shiny thing or whatever it is, and listen to that gut voice and choose ourselves. And then things are going to transform because of that. And again, the people that are on the other side, where they haven't done that and they're trying to steal energy, they're going to have a reckoning as well. And all of it just balancing. If you've been too trusting and too open, then you'll be corrected, but there's empowerment in that. And if you've been too getting away with stuff, you're not going to get away with it anymore. And it's all just about coming back into that center. It's always about balancing those polarities and coming back home. And so there's always polarities, two sides of the story. And so that's what I'm seeing right now. And I know some other people firsthand that have gone through something very similar to different degrees, so might be playing out in different ways for you. So I want to jump into the cards and see how I'm guided here to talk about this. So, okay, so the overall energy for this is Badger Spirit, be fearless and bold. Well, that does make sense with an eclipse energy, and especially an eclipse an eclipse going on at this point in human evolution, where like this summer has just been so brutal, it's just been like Cali everywhere, and now an eclipse, and Pisces is like, it's wake up time, so being brave, being brave, and just knowing, like my daughter this morning, or not this morning, just now, she was going to boxing, and she just had this kind of weird feeling about it, and she had this like energy, and there were some things going on, and she was kind of feeling kind of anxious, and finally, we were just just go through it and trust it, kind of like what I've been talking about all of these readings. Whatever it is, it's for you, it's for you. It's taking us to where you need to go, taking you where you need to go, and so you don't have to fear it. Just step forward, walk through it, let it tear you to shreds if it needs to, and you'll come out where you need to be, all of it being in service. But sometimes you just gotta like grab your your bootstraps, or whatever that saying is. Yeah, strength, exactly. Oh my gosh. So 2 messages of strength and courage. Wow, because this is a card of courage, the strength card, courage and perseverance and moving forward. So we just got a double message with that. Okay. That is interesting. So let's see what else. Wow. Okay, so the 8 of Wands, this is often the drinking out of the end of a fire hose card, where it's just a lot of energy, a lot of activation, a lot of, I think this energy could be quite overwhelming. Like this morning when I went through my experience, I had a lot of energy. I had a lot of energy, and so I was like in this, where it was just like the veil came off and all the feelings flooded in and all the realization and all the, and so it's a lot, eclipses are a lot. The worst eclipse I ever went through was April 8th, 2 years ago. Not 2 years ago, like a year and a half ago, I guess. And yeah, so that was super intense. This one doesn't feel quite as intense. That one was the one that went the whole way across. It like created these X's, and the X's were crossing certain points. There were all these synchronicities with the towns it was crossing, and it was part of the Hopi prophecy and all that. This one isn't quite like that, but it does feel quite intense from these cards. Oh yeah, so it's an ego death. So in this deck, this is the 2 of Swords, but absolutely in this deck, this card always comes out as the ego death, and it's our souls, it's our higher selves that are cutting off our heads. It's like, enough, no mas, no more of this illusion, no more of this, like trying to get away with stuff, like no more, like it's time to come home to Mother. It's time to come home to the goddess within you, whether you're a man or a woman. It's time to live in integrity. It's time to stop playing this distorted, masculine, outward, game. And it's not your fault, because we've all been conditioned into it. It's not any of our faults. We've all been conditioned into this energy, and we've all had trauma, we've all shut down, and it's just like, it's so tragic though to see the level of functioning that some people are at, the level of disconnection that they have from their souls, and what's become normalized for them. And it's like some of the things that were said to me this morning, I was like, this doesn't even make any sense. Like there's no integration in this whatsoever. It's like pieces of things stuck together as if it was, like smart talk or something, and it was just all that distortion. And so it's like, I had to come back to compassion, to be like, oof, I'm glad I'm not living like that. I'm glad I'm not living in that energy, because I used to be in that energy where I was just so confused, and it was just, wow, piecing together little things that you're hearing from outside of yourself, and half truths and things that other people are doing, and just trying to make sense of it all, and trying to think you're in integrity, and just doing the best you can, so I do have compassion, but it's kind of like, wow, so, and it's really time up for that kind of energy. And I think a lot of us are just like, oh my God, like, are you freaking kidding me? Like my ex-husband, he was in the monastery. He lived in the Self-Realization Fellowship, actually. He was in the monastery in Encinitas for a long time. And he said when he got out, he was just like, oh my God, like he couldn't believe that the world was still the same, And so that's kind of how I feel sometimes, because I'm surrounded by so many amazing people. And like, I don't know, somehow I just seem to be in this place where I have a lot of soul family around me through the internet, and also through in my town and stuff like that. And so when I do interface with people that are a little bit outside of my circle, I'm kind of my soul circle, my frequency, I'm a little shocked. I'm a little shocked. And so it's good to see what's going on. It's good to see what's going on. But again, that compassion, but the ego death, where it's like time's up for that kind of stuff. Time's up for the illusion that it's not still going on, first of all, and it's not that I didn't think it was still going on. I was just kind of shocked. I was just kind of shocked and sick to my stomach, and just kind of like, wow. I'm just, wow, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry for myself, and I'm so sorry for you, and I'm so sorry for the world. But what I was going to say is, when it's really bad like that, it's really in your face. So this happened to me in June, where I had some overlays come off for me, and I saw the extent of some of the distortions that were running in our world that I hadn't seen before, and I was just like, like, oh my God, I don't know how to function. And then it was like, what the reassurance that I got from my higher self was, that you're seeing it because it's healing. You're seeing it because it's unveiling. You're seeing it because this kind of stuff is being purged. So I feel like that's going on for a lot of us too, that are seeing a lot of like stark distortion that's kind of rocking our world a little bit. It's like, okay, that's because it's purifying. And if you're engaging with that and you're seeing that, then you're also a container for that. You are kind of the one doing this by holding steady and choosing yourself and not allowing the distortions of others to throw you into distortion within yourself, or to throw you into low self-esteem or confusion or doubting yourself, but just to be like, no, I see what's going on here. I see what's going on here, and cutting off the head of your own ego that wants to flare up, and just being that structured water, being that God fractal that is with yourself, where your inner masculine turns towards you and says, I got you. I see you. I understand. I'm a match to you. Whatever it is. However that self-talk would be, you become the lighthouse. You become the structured water. You become a fractal and an anchor in this realm. So you're purifying that energy that you just interact with, that kind of made you want to throw up and take like 40 showers. You are being the lighthouse for it. You are stabilizing it, and it's probably the person that you're experiencing that with, you have some kind of soul contract with, and you're doing that. And so a lot of us, if you're divine feminine and you're working with a divine masculine collective, then you might have one or two or three or four or some people assigned to you throughout your life, where it's like your soul contract, and you're working with them. And a lot of those people have taken on a lot of distortion, and it can look like they're, like we might want to judge them, but actually it's a sign of their soul strength, where they took on a lot of distortion in this lifetime at this time to clear, and you're kind of in collaboration with them, where you are pairing up, you are pairing up, even if it seems like you're not at all, you are pairing up, and you're helping to hold space for that. And right now, the best way to hold space for those distortions is to really cut, to cut it out, cut contact, and just to be with yourself, to not leak any of your energy, because to leak any of your energy to this stuff is actually enabling and feeding that distortion and allowing them to get away with it, because because it's like that compassion and that unconditional love that a lot of the divine feminines have, a lot of our feminine energies, our souls have. It's really beautiful, but there are other aspects of the goddess. There's Kali, there's Kali, and there's the mother, there's the sensual one, but in this moment, Kali is the one that's here, and it's the way to be in service, and the way to assist to those that we love that are stuck in this energy the most. At a certain time, it may have been to open our hearts, to bleed our hearts, to slit our veins, to write their names in blood, right? To hold space for that, to hold space for them in a loving, feminine way. Or in the beginning, it might have been the sensuality and opening completely and all of that. But at this phase in the game, it is, so this is for the people that's really into that, okay, you translate for your eclipse. You might not be working the polarities, but I know a lot of people that resonate with these readings. We are working the polarities. We're part of that. That's part of our mission, the rose lineage, this type of thing, where we're uniting the polarities. We're coming home to ourselves, and therefore we're purifying. We're purifying for the collective, and we're often assigned to the outer masculine collective as well. And so, but again, the Kali energy, where it's like, no, we're not enabling this anymore. The rules have changed at this point. It's almost like this is where, and a lot of us have pulled back our energy. And what's interesting is, for me, I pulled back my energy from leaking and enabling and that type of thing, and merging with false energy. I mean, I had been celibate and alone for 6 years, but then I sort of had to open it back up so I could learn something. That's when I went through that unveiling around sexual energy and all of that. And so anyway, but it was in March that I really saw it started to unveil for me, and that's when I started sealing off my energy, and more increments until I was completely sealed, And so it was after that, a lot of us have been doing that kind of sealing, cutting, no more access. And then it seems like for a lot of us, there's been another round of tests in a way, and things coming in where we had to be sort of tempted. For me, I was really tempted by, because I've been talking about him, the one that really activated me. They threw me like the tastiest bite ever, and I still chose myself. I still chose myself because there were distortions that were glaring where I was like, nope, not even for you, absolutely not. Bye-bye. And it's like rise and meet me, do the inner work, and I'll be here. But don't you dare contact me until you have, and so anyway, but a lot of us being tested in that way, where it's like, are you going to choose yourself, or are you going to enable this? And it wasn't even really like a choice. It was like, that's what this eclipse brought in, where it was like we just went through the motions. There was no way we were going to abandon ourselves after all of the work and everything that we've been through. So it was kind of like a graduation energy for a lot of us, this eclipse. And so if you are in that position where you are in your integrity and you are choosing to hold space and align and clear, there's a lot that's coming for you. That's what I feel. There's a lot that's coming, because it's like you passed that test, you passed that initiation, and now you're opening up into the field. It was like you had to do that last piece. You had to prove it. You had to prove it. And then for those that are this one, then it's time to get your head cut off, and that's beautiful too, because you're going to come home to God. You're going to come home to your soul. It might not be fun, but you got to go through the stuff that everybody else did. You got to go through it. You can't fake it. You can't steal it. You can't vamp it. You can't pretend it. You can't posture it. You gotta die. You gotta go insane. You gotta die. You gotta I'm so intense, but that's how it is. You can't. It's like time's up. Time is up. It's like that meme that I posted recently that I got from Jenny, a lot of our mutual friend. That was like time's up for sweeping under the rug. Folks need to be uncomfortable. And that's it. And so a lot of us, like super loving, like unconditional bleeding heart people, are now like, no mas, no mas. And so there's that, and all the different versions of that, where it's like, it's game over. It's game over for this kind of stuff. And so that's true for, the, in the galactic realm, the beings and the entities that are leaving, and all you can see it on all the different fractals. It's true in the world, there's justice and redemption, all these things coming. It's true in just normal people that just haven't done the shadow work and just kind of got away with it for a while, which again is in service to them. And it's true for us as well. Those last bits, those last corners, those last tests, where it's like, what are you going to choose? Are you gonna try to take the easy way out? And a lot of us are just like, absolutely not. I am not taking the easy way out. I'm gonna feel this burn, and I'm gonna stay with myself and have that disappointment. And so, okay, so yeah, exactly. So the Five of Cups, so there's that card of loss and grief and regret. And so a lot of us might be feeling that right now, but it's like, again, being real and seeing the true situation rather than going for the illusion, which is the Pisces energy. There's no more illusion. You can't have the illusion. You have to grow yourself. But again, just like last time in the last reading, the Five of Cups with the 3 cups that are spilt and the 2 cups that are standing. And so there are 2 cups behind him. He doesn't see. He's looking at the spilt cups. We got to feel that grief or that anger or that, whatever it is, but behind us. And this is what I was just saying, is that kind of like things flooding in because you passed that test. You passed that test, and these are waiting for you. They've always been waiting for you. They were waiting for you. And I know a lot of us might have been like, oh, I thought this thing was coming in, and I thought it was this, and it was like, no, that was the test. That was the test. And what you're really receiving, and I was saying this in the last reading as well, what you're really receiving is yourself, the fullness of yourself. So you might, for me, like fall into a vat of poisonous water and have to detox, and then you might have like the love of your life, the activator come in, and be like, wow, I'm back, and then no, it's all just not that. And yet, all of that is just to get you into position with your cups to receive yourself. It's just those final shakeups as we come into God's self and merge, and wherever you're at on the journey, wherever you're at, however much more of this we have to do, however much more of the shadow work and the spilling. But for a lot of us, there's just this sort of stepping through into receiving. I really feel that, and it's beautiful to hear me say that, because I wasn't feeling that earlier today when I was really triggered. I was just like, oh my God, I don't think I can trust myself anymore. But now that I'm reading and I'm in my channel, which is why I wanted to do this today, because I knew it was going to be really good for me to get in my flow and to get it in my highest aspect, and to do this. So thank you for witnessing. I know I'm kind of talking about stuff. It's like pretty personal. I always talk about personal stuff, but going really specific as if this energy is all about this, and I realize that it's not. It is for some people. It is for several people that I've talked to actually, but it can present to you in a different way. Okay, so here we have the companion. So actually, this is kind of directing me backwards. Like I think for a lot of us, there is this kind of energy because look at she's kind of seductive. She's coming out of the fire. That's sort of like like almost like a devil energy is coming through, where it's like enticing you. It's a test. Like are you gonna like you can go into it. You can go into it and check it out and see what it is. But are you gonna stay with yourself? A little bit of that sort of test energy. 9, 10, 11. 12, 12, 13. Yeah, I'm just looking at the numbers, but that's not speaking to me. So, yeah, that's interesting, right? As I was sort of apologizing for speaking of it in that way, I think that is actually the energy that's coming up for a lot of us, or for those that might be drawn or choose to watch this reading. Some sort of an illusion breaking, an illusion around around sexuality, around partnership, around yeah, something having to do with that, however it presents for you. So, okay, I'm going to go down underneath. I didn't talk much. I'm only at 20 minutes. I didn't talk much beforehand. So. Might be a shorter reading. The nine of air, anxiety, and so this might be coming up as you're like if you haven't gotten hit with your eclipse yet, if it hasn't landed for you yet, this anxiety where and fear where like my daughter before she went to boxing, so I left my notifications on because she was just feeling like something was going to happen. I was like, well, let me leave my notifications on while I do this reading in case you have to contact me and I have to like come take you to the hospital or something, but like hopefully that won't happen. Cancel clear. But yeah, just that kind of anxiety, where you're feeling something coming. And I was feeling that too. I was feeling something coming. But of course, more and more things keep coming. More and more things keep coming where you're like, I'm not sure that was it yet. But just this feeling of restlessness, where like things are being shaken up. So I think there's a lot of that in this energy as well. And also our shadows, our shadows coming up, like the fear that we're feeling isn't really anything to be afraid of. It's just something within ourselves that we need to confront or look at or release or this type of thing. And so just surrendering to that, surrendering and knowing, again, as we keep saying. I think it's important to say, though, because the energies are so gnarly right now that everything is for us, even if it's uncomfortable. Yep, here he is. Here's the devil, exactly. So there it is. That's that kind of energy. This kind of energy also swirling around can kick up this kind of energy. So I was picking up on this kind of energy in this person this morning, and I was just like, ugh, like I can't be, I'm too psychic to be connected to somebody that has this much shadow, because I feel it, and I had to realize, like, this isn't mine. And I think that's sort of the message with this card as well. A lot of what's swirling around for some of us right now isn't actually our energy. It's like this kind of energy leaving. So I was in the forest the other day, and yesterday actually, and there were just fields and fields of cosmos, which was so beautiful because all night last night I kept seeing the cosmos. I kept seeing the fields. There was like a real transmission with the cosmos. And so I looked up the flower essence of cosmos, and it's about cosmic connection. It's about that like unity, and so that's really beautiful, but it also speaks to that Piscean energy that's really super mergy, where we're picking up on stuff. And so anyway, when I was in the forest, I just kept saying to my daughter, like, God, the energy feels so weird. It feels so layered. Like I felt like I feel like something happened on this land. Like, and I was like, well, people come here and they log. There's a lot of loggers. There's a lot of like sort of wider roads back into that area. And so I was like, maybe it's just sort of that, like a lot of activity. And I'm like, no, it feels gnarly. And I'm like, I don't know, maybe people come back here and like shoot guns, and maybe somebody was raped here. And then I went back further, and it's like, this is Apache land. And I was just like, it didn't necessarily feel like war, like battle, but it felt like something tragic happened. Like maybe there was like some huge grief or like a ceremony where everybody, I don't know. It was just like, there was so much. And I was just like, I have to leave, thank you, Cosmos. Thank you. I will take you with me. And apparently I did, but it was just, there was just like so many levels and layers. And then I had a couple other people talking about that, how the energy felt really strange. I know a lot of us were feeling kind of just like a little bit sick to our stomachs and kind of like dizzy, and just like I was having a really hard time grounding, even though I was very enchanted by the beauty. It's just there was a weird energy. And then when I got home, a friend wrote, and she was saying how she felt like there was like a shift or a timeline jump or something overnight, and we were trying to feel into the energy. And I was just saying, like, I felt like there were like layers coming off. And so that goes back to this too, like whether it's within ourselves or somebody that we're holding space for, or within ourselves in relation to somebody we were holding space for, or not anymore. But in a sense we are, because again, it's all merged, and we're holding space by cutting off, right? It's the best action. It's the most loving thing to do. Callie has her place for sure, and she doesn't have to hate while she does it. And so, yeah, but anyway, so the layers pulling off in that way, but also, I felt like they were coming off the land. I felt like they were, they're coming off the planet. They're coming off, they're just coming off. There's a lot that's releasing, and I think in this energy, a lot of us are feeling that, and that kicking up some anxiety as well. And again, just remembering it's not necessarily yours, and in this case, with this context, it's not even something that's necessarily coming like it is in a sense, because there might be things clearing for you or those around you or in the world, but it doesn't necessarily mean that like something really intense is going to happen to you, right? It's just there's stuff leaving, and we're feeling it, and we're feeling when things leave, when it's like the stuff swirling around. This is kind of coming through like a in this deck, the Ten of Wands has this swirling around, and it's all these fires. This is kind of like this, but it's air. It's like all these. So, well, these are doves, yeah. So it's like it's air. It's like a lightning as well. Like all the things that were sort of bothering you, or the things that were, your self-abandonments, or your self-hatred, or your unworthiness, or these things, these shadow pieces that are lifting, that are lifting. And this is a very gentle way of saying, saying this, like it's time to meet the Reaper here, but. It's all just kind of coming up, and when it comes up, traditionally the Nine of Air, of course, you're sitting in your bed, and there might be like a skeleton being there, and you have like knives all around you, and this is a really beautiful deck. It's the good tarot, but the actual meaning of the Nine of Air, the Nine of Swords, is nightmares. It's shadow stuff. Shadow stuff's coming up, and that's what this is as well. That's what this is as well, where it's like that which is in the underworld still, that which is sneaking around, causing us to harm other people or hurt other people, and we don't even know it. We don't even know it. That kind of shadow stuff that hasn't been resolved yet. It has a hold. It has a hold on you, and you don't know it. That kind of stuff is coming up to be seen in the world and within ourselves if we need to. If we have some of that stuff running, we can't get away with it anymore. It's time. That's what I feel in this energy. Because this kind of stuff is an illusion, it's like, especially like if you're not looking at your shadow, it's often because you're getting away with it. You're like you're fooling someone, you're fooling the world, you're fooling yourself, you're fooling, whatever it is. And this is the type of energy where that's unveiled, and it's like, it's not working anymore. It's not working. And when it doesn't work, especially like if you have somebody in your life that was holding space for you, or if you had a lot of people in your life that was holding space for you and therefore kind of enabling that, if they're pulling off their energy and you're not able to feed off of them to gain ego gain, or a little bit of juice so you can go get some ego thing, if you don't have that anymore, then what are you left with? You're left with the fact that nothing's working. You have nothing left. You have nothing left if you don't have alignment with your soul, and you've been running false programs to try to gain without doing the work, and those things aren't working anymore. Then you have to do the work. So it is love. It is just like this, just like cutting it off is love. It's loving service. It's just time. And again, these people, a lot of the divine masculines have chosen to take on really, really intense burdens, and they're stuck in this energy. They're stuck in this energy, and that's why when we love them, our hearts go out to them, and we want to help. We want to help, and we want to mother them, and we want to seduce them or whatever, and just make it better. But it's like, yeah, it's Callie now. It's Callie, like what you need now, and it's not a punishment. It's not anger. It's still love. It's just right action. It's right action, because time is up and this stuff can't be enabled. The energy, the frequency on this planet is not supporting it anymore. So a lot of us are being guided to not support that anymore, to pull back our energy and to focus on ourselves and our own inner work. Even if we had been doing that for a while, again, for a lot of us, it was like this little thing came in. This little thing came in to be like, okay, what are you going to do now? You sealed up. Let's test you. Maybe we'll test you one more time after that. But yeah, so. Anyway, combustion, exactly. And so that which has been held down, that which has been hidden, that which has been locked away and, like sneaked around and like, it's coming out. It's coming out. It's like a zit that's popping, it's all got to come out. This is a big eclipse when it comes to the shadow elements. And that is for all of us, obviously. If we're here, we're still in cleanup. It's just some people have more cleanup than others. So yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens. We'll see what happens, but I think that is what I am feeling. A lot of shadow stuff here through this eclipse season. So, okay. Oh, well, that's nice. So the Nine of Cups. I mean, this is a card of wish fulfillment. This is coming out right underneath the ego death, right underneath the tough love, and it's like it is bringing us what we want. Just to say that, there's no punishment, there's no hatred or karma is balancing. Karma is for us. It's just balancing things out, bringing things around so that we can genuinely have what we want. Because if we're kind of like pretending or stealing or vamping or propping ourselves up, and you know how it is when you're in separation. It's like you get something up, and then there's nothing to sustain it. There's nothing to sustain it, because you're not a match to it. You have to steal it, and then it falls again, and then you got to do it again and again. And how exhausting is that? How exhausting! But when you do have this head chopped off, and again, there's a lot of this. There's a lot of this coming in, and be courageous, be bold, and be strong. Be strong, because this is for you. It's bringing you what you want. It's bringing you what you want. And so it just has to come up. It has to come up. And so the people in your lives that are playing that catalyst, if you are on that side where you have some cleanup to do, and people that are, but what's interesting is sometimes, it's like you might ask for it. Like you might shut somebody else out because you need to be away from their energy in order to get your comeuppance, in order to be forced into that corner where you actually do the work, and you come into this. It's almost like you can't have a companion, and if you are going to have a companion, it's going to be somebody that's part of this, that's part of that hell realm, part of that old pattern, part of that pattern that just keeps burning you in the ass, just keeps burning you in the ass. Keep playing the same old pattern, because you're not able to up level and match something higher, because you haven't done that work yet, right? But that it is a good thing. It is a good thing. And again, even some of the choices that you might be making, if you are this person, probably not, because you're probably not watching this reading, but then you can understand the person that you are dealing with if you're in like shoes like I am. But yeah, it's like often there's some sort of divine setup where that person is playing out a role that's kind of ridiculous. Like again, they took on that distortion, so they're playing out that distortion so that they can catalyze this ego death for themselves. So it's like, could be called sabotage. Like, oh, I'm sabotaging myself. Oh, you're sabotaging yourself. It's like, no, you're creating the perfect situation for you to finally do this work, because the reason why you're sabotaging yourself is because you're actually not a match to your fiery companion, using this as the divine counterpart. You're actually not a match to her yet, so you need to create a situation where you're forced into that work, so it's just all very written. It's all very written, so we can absolutely trust it, and it's taking us exactly where we need to go. But we have to remember that it's all these things are a long journey. So if it's not presenting for you in terms of relationship or divine counterpart or that type of thing, if it's presenting in a different way, some sort of illusion, I can't think of any examples right now because I am so absorbed in my own process with this, but again, knowing that others are going through the same thing, translate, because you'll find it. You'll find this energy, and how it relates. Something having to do with illusion, something having to do with ego death, something having to do with being backed into a corner, either you or another, so that we can come the whole way home. We can come the whole way home and do that work. And we have to be brave and courageous, because we're walking through the valleys that we've been avoiding. For some people, we just went straight in, to like one fire after another for like 20 years, and we don't avoid anything. We're just like my friend I was talking about last week that was like, hark, and just turn towards it and let it burn through you. And if you've done that, then good times are ahead. Then that's that wish fulfillment where, once you've done this work, no matter where you're at in your journey, once you do it, this is what's next. You are finally a match to what you want, and then you can have it, and it's effortless. You don't have to, hustle or try so hard. It just comes to you because you're a match. It's your birthright. And so again, those of you that have really already walked through this and done this work, then that's what we're heading into, which is very exciting. Oh wow! So the eight of wands, we get this card twice. Oh my goodness! So there it is again, Eight of Wands. So again, a lot of energy, a lot of movement. This is an activation energy. It's like you're being moved from one level of consciousness to another. No matter where you're at in your journey, you're at the end of that arrow. You're at the end of that arrow, and you're going to be put in a different position. So, and this was coming up in a reading I did today. It's like there's a lot of intensity right now, but on the other side of this intensity, we land in a new space. Everybody lands in a new space, and again, the level of shadow work that you've done determines like how intense the intensity is, or how you're able to maneuver the intensity. But on the other side, everybody is in a different spot. But what's interesting is like this one is coming out after the Nine of Cups. So this is a big catapulting energy, the trials that are going on right now, moving through this darkness. And so I feel like this goes through the second eclipse as well, the new moon eclipse on the 21st, I think it is. I think it's the 21st. And so that also makes me feel, because you know we have two of these, and this being the arrow where you kind of pull back and then it flies and it flies and it like goes through the next couple of weeks and then it lands and we get to see where we're at. So let me pull. Oh, this is such a short, cute little reading. So let me pull. I think I'm going to do one last card, unless it's not clear, then I might pull more. But I'm going to see if this is a closing message. This girl looks so much like my daughter. Oh my gosh, she looks so much like my daughter. If you've seen my daughter, or if you have seen photos of her on Facebook, wow, that struck me before like that. She's making a big move in her chart. This eclipse is huge. Like, she just had in Vedic astrology, she had a Mahadasha change, and this eclipse is hitting her. So it's like, for some people, depending on how it lands in your astrology, it can be like life-changing. This is like a life-changing eclipse for her. So wow. Oh, that's so beautiful. So I am going to end on this card. So here we get love, and there's that Christed consciousness, that Christ consciousness, that higher perspective, that higher view. You know, again, Pisces is and cosmos flowers, you know, it is that unified field, that unity. Everything is love. Everything is held in love, you know, no matter what the story is and what the catalyst and, you know, who the who the one is that might have pissed you off, you know. You love them. You know, we're all in this together. We're all unraveling knots, and we all signed up to do this together, and we all took on, you know, different pieces, and we're all playing our different roles, and, you know, we're being catalyzed into whatever it is to bring us more balance, you know, to bring us better boundaries, or to bring us more shadow work, or to bring us whatever it is, you know. It's held in love, and it's part of that higher design. And it's all written, you know, it's all held. Eclipses are divine timing. You know, this is something that's been waiting to happen, waiting to come to completion, waiting to come to illumination for a long time. And there was a process that needed to happen on the way to get there, and it's landing now. Again, it's landing now. That arrow is landing, you know, so it's been, and even the pulling back of the arrow could have been 7 years ago or 3 lifetimes ago or whatever it is, but there's a real landing energy right now for us as individuals and collectively as humanity. That's the channel that I'm getting with this last message here. So I am going to end there. I hope that was helpful to you. Thank you for listening. I know I don't know if you feel my kind of fiery energy. There is a lot of activation energy right now, and I'm kind of in it. I'm in that alchemy a little bit, but I always like to share when I'm in the midst of things too, because there's transmissions in them. So if you were relating, feel free to share. I love it when people share, that I feel like the crew of us that are kind of doing this together, and it's just helpful to feel each other in that telepathic realm as well. So I already know of a couple of you, but feel free to let me know, and much love to you, and we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens through this eclipse the next few days, and yeah, and maybe we'll share and commune and powwow about it as well. So all right, much love to you, and remembering this, the courage and the strength and the boldness and the fearlessness. A lot of intensity, but we know how to do this. We know how to do this, and even if you don't know how to do this, it's divinely timed, and you're going to be carried through. You're going to be carried through, you know, into where we're all going, and all held with love. That's my summary. All right, blessings. Bye-bye.